Welcome to the Family, a novella by Christopher Bloodworth, voiced by the author, Christopher Bloodworth. Chapter 7. When Jesse next opened his eyes, it was dark, and not just regular dark, but pitch black. He couldn't even see his hand in front of his face. Had he been sleeping? Jesse sat up and blinked his eyes, trying to find any point of reference, even the head of a mannequin. From the far corner of the room, he heard something shift. It sounded like cloth being moved against the floor. Then he heard a sniffle. "Hello?" Jesse asked the darkness in the direction of the corner where he'd heard the sniffle. "Who's there?" A voice asked back. It was a girl's voice. "Who is that?" "Who are you?" Jesse asked. Was he dreaming? Why was he hearing a girl's voice down here? "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Who are you?" the girl asked him. She sounded closer than before. "My name's Jesse. What's yours?" "Jesse?" the girl asked. "Jesse Sullivan?" Jesse was speechless. How did the girl know his full name? Who was she? "Who are you?" Jesse asked her. "Susan," the girl answered. "Susan Robertson." "Susan?" Jesse asked him before he could stop the words from coming out. "Susan Snotface?" Susan began crying from where she was in the darkness. "I'm sorry, is that you, Susan?" Jesse called over to her. "Yes," Susan said through her tears. "It's me." "What are you doing here?" "I don't know. I was walking home from class and I saw this guy lying on his side in my front yard, like he was hurt or something, only he wasn't. When I went to see if he was okay, he rolled over and he was wearing the scariest mask I'd ever seen. He looked like a..." Both Jesse and Susan said it at the same time. "Scarecrow." "Yeah," Susan said. "He rolled over and grabbed me before I could scream. He pressed a cloth against my mouth, and next thing I knew, I was here in this dark room listening to him breathe. Or what I thought was him, but was actually you. Wait, how'd you know about the scarecrow mask?" "What color was it?" Jesse asked. He felt like he was plummeting straight down from the top of a roller coaster. "Brown," Susan answered. "What's it matter?" "Was it brown or dark brown?" Jesse asked, feeling sick because he already knew what Susan was going to say. "Dark brown," Susan answered. "Definitely dark brown. Why?" "That's chocolate," Jesse said more to himself than Susan. He felt a shame so horrible that he could barely breathe. "Chocolate?" Susan asked. "Who's that?" "That's what he calls himself," Jesse whispered. He felt like he was going to throw up. Susan was here because of him. Her mother and father might even be dead because of him. "Why does he call himself that?" Susan asked. "They all do," Jesse said. "Can you follow the sound of my voice?" "Of course," Susan said. "Just because it's dark in here doesn't mean that I'm stupid, Jesse." Yup, Jesse thought. Definitely Susan Snotface. "Hello?" Susan asked. "I'm here," Jesse said. Had she thought he'd gone off somewhere? Even if he wanted to, he was just as trapped as she was. "I need you to talk if you want me to follow your voice," Susan said in that sing-songy way she had of letting you know that she thought that you were so stupid without actually saying it. Jesse started talking. "I am in the middle of this basement, somewhere I don't know where. There are scarecrows everywhere. Some are nice, some are mean, some are weird. The room is covered with blank mannequin heads except for the head above the door at the top of the stairs. That one has a wig on it and its face painted on." Jesse paused for a moment before speaking into the darkness again. "Susan? I'm right here," she said from his right. She was so close that he felt her breath on his ear and jumped. Jesse felt the bed shake as she climbed on. "Why is it so dark?" Susan asked. "I don't know," Jesse said. "The lights were on all day. Were they on when you got here?" "No," Susan said. "When the scarecrow..." "Chocolate," Jesse corrected. "Whatever. When his hand was clamped over my mouth, I got all dizzy like I was going to faint, and then I guess I did." "So So you woke up down here? Yes. Is there a light switch down here? Yeah, but it doesn't work. It's by the stairs. Well, where are we? I don't know. I think... Jesse paused. He thought he heard something rustle in the direction of the stairs. You think what? Jesse asked, breaking the silence. Shh! Don't you dare shush me, Jesse Sullivan. It's rude to do that. Shut up, Susan, Jesse whispered. I think someone's down here with us. What do you... Jesse cut her off by clamping his hand over her mouth. I'm trying to listen, Jesse hissed. He removed his hand, instantly feeling remorse. She was only here because he'd been bored and told Yellow he needed someone to talk to. Jesse was about to speak when he heard it again, off near the stairs. Susan cupped her hands over his ears and whispered, I heard it. Who's there? Jesse once again, slick with sweat, heart beating hard and fast in his throat. Nothing moved and no one answered. Susan yelled before Jesse could stop her. Quit being such a coward! A deep chuckle came from the stairs. Then they heard the grinding voice that Jesse knew would haunt his dreams for the rest of however long he had on this earth. The voice asked a single question that Jesse knew only too well, with one small change to it. You up, kiddos? Susan wrapped her arms around Jesse. You up, kiddos? Chocolate screamed at them across the pitch-black room. Jesse felt Susan ripped from the embrace she had him in. When she started screaming, Jesse thought he would start screaming too. He fell off the bed and tried to walk toward the screams in the dark. His arms held out in front of him like a vaudeville actor playing a mummy. Susan? Jesse called out. Susan, where are you? Susan kept screaming and loud rips came to Jesse's ear. What was that ripping noise? What was Chocolate doing to her? Susan! Jesse called out into the darkness. He walked toward the sound of Susan's screams, not wanting to ever get there. Where are you? Stop it! Susan screamed through her tears. Stop it! Please stop! I'm sorry. There was one last loud rip, and then the room was still, save for the sound of Susan sobbing. Chocolate shouldered Jesse aside, and Jesse fell to the concrete. He could hear Chocolate messing with the sheets of the bed. That was fine so long as he left Susan alone. Susan? Jesse whispered, rolling onto his hands and knees. He started crawling toward the sound of Susan's sobs. Get away, Susan said through her tears. Jesse kept crawling towards her. She was obviously talking about Chocolate. Susan, what did he do to you? Jesse whispered as he crept closer. From the staircase, he heard Chocolate's slow, plodding steps. Get away from me, Susan screamed. It's okay, Susan, Jesse said, still crawling. He's leaving. It'll be okay. No, you, Jesse, you get away from me, Susan screamed. Then she started right back with the sobbing. Jesse found himself speechless again. Why was she mad at him? What had he done? The door at the top of the stairs slid open and shut. The overhead light buzzed on, and Jesse saw why Susan wanted him to go away. She sat on the concrete with her back pressed against the wall, her knees pulled up to her chest. She was completely nude. Chocolate had ripped off all of her clothes. Oh, jeez, Jesse said, looking at her tear-streaked face and skinned knees. Turning away from her, he started walking toward the bed until he realized what Chocolate had been doing before he left. Chocolate had taken the sheets and comforter from the bed. He'd even removed the pillowcases. Jesse blew air out. There was nothing in the basement that Susan could cover up with. Jesse turned back to Susan. Her dark eyes glared out at him from behind a mess of tangled hair. Why are you mad at me? Jesse asked. Because you didn't warn me, Susan said, sniffing so loud that it echoed. How was I supposed to warn you? Jesse asked. Susan just shrugged. Jesse sighed and turned around, trying to figure out a solution. Your pants, Susan said from behind him. What? Jesse asked, turning back around. I could wear your pants, Susan said. And what would I wear? Jesse asked. You wear underwear? Susan said in that you're-so-stupid voice that she was so good at. I'm not wearing any, Jesse said. It was the truth. When he went to bed, he only wore pajama pants, and that's all he was wearing now. Who doesn't wear underwear to bed? Susan asked. Me? Jesse said. Susan sighed. Okay, well, let's get this over with. Get what over with? You letting me have your pants like a gentleman. I'm not giving you my pants. Are you a gentleman? Always be a gentleman with ladies, the voice of Jesse's mom said in his head. Jessie sighed. I am. Okay, then let me have your pants. Jessie stared at her. Please? She asked. He looked up at the ceiling and shook his head. No, Jessie said, you can't have them. Well, I can't stay like this, can I? Susan asked. Her eyes swam and a single tear rolled down her right cheek. No, Jessie said, I guess you can't. Jessie sighed and looked over at the staircase. He'd have to go up. Rule number 2, stay away from the door at the top of the stairs. It didn't matter what Red said. Jessie was going up those stairs to get some clothes for Susan. He was the reason she was here. Shaking his head, Jessie crossed the room to the staircase. He stepped into the darkness of the landing and looked up at the stairs. The painted mannequin's head was still mounted above the metal door at the top. Jessie started up the stairs. Don't leave me here, Susan called out from the place against the wall where she sat in a huddle. No one leaves here, Jessie mumbled as he walked up the stairs. He didn't bother with being quiet on the way up. There was no need. He wanted the Scarecrow to know he was there. He needed the Scarecrow's attention. At the top of the stairs, he paused for a moment, still not believing what he was about to do, but praying that whatever happened, he wouldn't have to see green. Without any further reflection, Jessie slammed his fist against the door a single time. It vibrated and made a hollow bonging noise that echoed into the tight staircase. Jessie waited a few seconds, and then started pounding on the metal door. Over and over he pounded until all he could hear was the dull bonging and the echoes it made down the staircase. Then the bonging stopped, and Jessie was pounding on the belly of the Scarecrow. Jessie looked up at the mask, but the light behind the Scarecrow was too bright and Jessie couldn't see what color the mask was. The Scarecrow's hand shot out and closed around Jessie's hair. Jessie's eyes teared up at once, and then he was being dragged back down the stairs. Help! He screamed into the empty kitchen, but the Scarecrow dragged him away. Jessie's eyes burned with tears from the hair that was being ripped out as he was bounced down the stairs like nothing more than a laundry bag filled with dirty clothes. He tried to get his feet under him, to almost crab walk backwards to lessen the strain on his scalp, but he couldn't seem to get his feet to go as fast as he was being dragged. His tailbone cracked down on the edge of every single step, all the way down until he was at the bottom. But even at the bottom, it wasn't over. The Scarecrow swung him by his hair across the room. Susan was screaming from somewhere, but Jessie couldn't understand why. There were a few moments of sweet relief, and then he was falling, all too aware that whatever respite he'd earned was about to end. Jessie's hip hit the concrete first with a loud crack, and then he was rolling towards one of the walls. He had a bad moment when he could have sworn that one of the previously blank mannequin heads was tracking his rolling progress across the room with a smirk on its face. Susan was still screaming when the back of Jessie's head hit the wall and everything went black. Welcome to the Family, a novella by Christopher Bloodworth, voiced by the author, Christopher Bloodworth.